Okay, so now we're going to the manga section, and we're going to start to recap some of the stuff that's happened. We'll try to keep it as brief as possible, but that's going to be hard.
Because
Um,
there's a lot of chapter, you know,
yeah,
there's a lot to cover. Because the ending of 2014 in terms of manga was fairly high paced.
yeah,
You know, very a lot of good shit happened in the last couple since we last talked, had a podcast. Um, so let's start with the One Piece manga,
yeah,
which probably has the least amount to talk about, which
yeah,
is
that's true.
which is surprising. But a lot of it was the One Piece, the law flashback of his relationship between him and Corazon, the beginnings of the fight between Luffy and Doflamingo, or as his clone, and then a little bit of fighting with Law, and it's a lot of that. And then after we got out of the flashback, we started to slowly uh, take out some of the executives.
Yeah,
So showcasing that Oda's preparing for the arc to finally start, you know, wrapping up
yeah, and
with,
thank God.
oh yes, because now most likely by the time this was recorded on the 21st, so most likely by the time this is up, we'll have there's another chapter worth of content for you
Right,
guys to think about. But most likely prediction, probably the next person to go down, I think, is Diamante. Mainly
Diamante.
because the
Yeah,
reason why I feel that is because just of the way they ended the next chapter. Because there's only unless they plan on finishing the Frankie and Senior Pink fight, but I feel like there's a little more impact with that. Only because it's more impactful for the overall plot of the series. Because Frankie's not just fighting to take down Senior Pink, but he's fighting to take down Senior Pink so he could destroy the factory.
yeah,
So I feel like that might be more suited for after Diamante's fight, after Diamante's taken down. I mean, of course, then Oda could still try to bounce around between, the Frankie Senior Pink fight, the Kyros Robin and Diamante fight, the Zoro Pika fight, which needs to end because them two have been fighting for like over a year in the manga,
I know. It's getting ridiculous.
and it's basically due to bullshit because Pika is too scared to fight Zoro straight up.
I know.
He keeps bouncing around, from this stone to this stone to this stone to this stone. It's like, come on, dude, just take your beating like a man.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, other than those three fights, we will finally, for some odd reason, Oda decides to have Bellamy still try to be relevant and still try to take down Luffy,
Oh my gosh.
which is pointless.
Yeah.
Like, if and the funniest, the thing that pisses me off the most about that fight is that Luffy's like, "Oh, I don't want to fight you because if I hit you again, you'll die." Because all you could, I can't help but scream at him, "Use the king's hockey to knock him unconscious."
Right.
But no. However, I am super like for the remaining fights, other than the Luffy Bellamy fight, I am stoked for because Frankie Senior Pink has been a lot of jokes, but just the payoff of that fight is going to be amazing because it's a plot point that's going to affect this plot of the whole story, not just this arc.
Uh-huh.
The Kyros and Robin versus Diamante fight is going to be good because not just because Kyros is beastly as all hell in terms of this arc, sort of, but you also got Robin there, who's very smart, very intelligent, and also very very creative when it comes to using her powers,
Yeah.
but also the emotional meaning behind this fight.
Yeah.
And then you have the Zoro Pika fight because just the only reason why I'm looking for yes, I'm pissed off that they're still doing it, but Zoro when it does end, Zoro is going to end it in spectacular fashion.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like what was it, a couple months ago when we had that one chapter where he friggin' cut the statue in half with what that, like 1,000-pound cannon
Yeah,
or
1080.
something, 1080-pound cannon.
Yeah.
We thought it was over then, but no. Oh, and I don't remember if this was since the last time we reviewed it or not, but was Usopp unlocking his hockey? Was that? Did we review that chapter?
We did.
Well, that's still worth noting because that was awesome.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking forward to the most is the Luffy versus Doflamingo
Yeah.
and the Law versus Trable fights.
Yeah,
Because
Trable's
those
gonna
two,
get Shrek'd.
oh yeah, he's gonna get he's gonna have a really good fight with Law mainly because Law is now with one arm because in this high octane fight, Law's not gonna have enough time to stop and reattach his arm because he can.
Oh
maybe
yeah.
not as easily as when he cuts it off, if he was to cut it off with his own powers, but he's gonna be able to reattach it. Just not until after the arc fights are over.
Yeah.
Which is why Oda did that, so that way Law would no longer be strong enough to handle fighting Doflamingo, but still be strong enough to take down Trable.
Yeah.
That's literally the main reason why I feel that happened. That and to make Doflamingo look more like a masochist or whatever you want to call it.
Sadist.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Sadist. There you go. But the Luffy Doflamingo fight is honestly, fingers crossed, is in my opinion is being set up to be on par, if not better, than Luffy versus Lucci.
Huh.
I think it has the potential. The potential is there because but what I'm hoping they do, and this is what everyone hopes, but it's Oda, so we're probably not going to, is I hope that every other fight, every other plot, all the other fights are done. Frankie beats Senior Pink and destroys the factory. And Robin take down Diamante. Trable's taken down. Pika's taken down. And I just want like 3 or 4 chapter fight between Luffy and Doflamingo. But that's not going to happen because Oda doesn't want to give us a straightforward 3 or 4 chapters of just fighting between the same 2 characters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why he just doesn't like to do that.
I don't know.
But now, of course, the other question that everyone's talking about is what is Luffy's new ability that he's going to show off, or new technique that he's going to show off in this fight against Doflamingo? Because now a lot of people are speculating it's going to be some type of 4th gear.
Right.
But my prediction is that it's honestly, I think his new technique, or quote unquote 4th gear, if you want to say it, is his Red Hawk. Because, as shown, he's not. First of all, Red Hawk was, the big thing that he showed off at Fishman Island. It was that he then did a Red Hawk rifle to Don Chinjo. And then the switcheroo combo technique was a Red Hawk. So and the fact that the Red Hawk, that when they did the anime special, this 3D2Y, it was the main thing was it was focusing on him unleashing for the first time Red Hawk.
Uh-huh.
And how, especially with the Mera no Mi being a main plot point for this arc, I feel like he's going to be blasting out other Red Hawk moves. Like Red Hawk Bazooka, Red Hawk Gatling, freaking Gigante Red Hawk, stuff like that. That's I think that's going to be the key, I guess, or the big set of maneuvers that he's going to do is going to be his Red Hawk moves.
Right.
So, I mean, is there any because there's not really any signs of him doing anything else. I mean, what else could he do with his rubber powers to produce a 4th gear? Is he going to, pump his legs extra so it's like twice as strong? He's already improved upon his 2nd gear and 3rd gear.
Just mix them, I guess. I don't know.
But he's done that already. It's not like, I mean, I guess he could show him off more. But that's why I say with the Red Hawk, because the Red Hawk is his arm hardened with hockey, and then while in gear 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said, he could do the Gigante Red Hawks, and that would be combining armament hockey, cladded arms. The only other prominent theory as to a possible new ability or level of skill that he could show is in against the Doflamingo would be full body armament hockey.
Oh yeah.
Because that was also showcased a decent amount this year with full body armament hockey Virgo making another appearance in the manga this year, and that it as the main villain in the 3D2Y special being using full body armament hockey. And that would be great if Luffy develops his hockey to a point during the fight of Doflamingo, because we know our boys, the Straw Hats, get stronger in their fights. Everyone does. So I could see that happening in the middle of the fight. He suddenly gains the ability to do full body armament hockey. But I don't think that alone is what's going to do it. I think it's going to be like that could happen and still the Red Hawk moves, but it's definitely going to come down to fisticuffs hockey.
Probably.
Because it's going to be a hockey battle because the entire time Luffy's trying to knock the shit out of Doflamingo, Doflamingo at the same time is going to try and shred Luffy to bits.
Right.
With his strings. So unless Luffy's going to... That's why I feel like... Because if you remember Freshman Island, he said how his hockey wasn't strong enough to prevent Horty from biting through his shoulder. And if he can't... So that's why I feel like it's very likely we're going to see full body arm in hockey, because for him to survive a fight with Doflamingo, whose main thing is slicing and dicing, he's going to need to get stronger hockey.
Yeah.
You know... Some other things that I'm excited for and expecting is finding out what the hell happened to my boy Sanji, who hasn't been in the manga for over a year.
Oh, I know.
It's not only it's just driving me mad because even after not being in the manga for like a month or two, people were coming up with like the worst case scenario theories about what could happen when we see him again.
Right.
There were people like 3 or 4 months after he disappeared from the manga, people were saying, "Oh my God, Sanji's gonna come back with one leg." I'd be like, "Bitch, if that happened, I'm getting on a plane and go to Japan and punch Oda in the face myself if he does that." Because Sanji is my favorite character in One Piece. He is, and it'd be like friggin', it'd be like if he went and decided, okay, I think I'm gonna make Mihawk become blind, so now he's only like 1/10 his normal strength because he's blind.
Right.
Which, at this point, isn't really much of an issue since we now have friggin' Fujitora. But like, it would just be like, that's just something about Sanji. He's a kicking fighter. And him coming back with one less leg to kick with just doesn't make any sense. And the fact that people even thought that, no. Because what's going on with them right now, all hinges on whether or not Big Ma'am was actually on the ship or not. A lot of people, it wasn't confirmed whether she was on it or not, but people said that there were signs showcasing that she was on it. But who knows? This year in One Piece, there's a lot to be expected from this year because this arc has been going on for 2 years now, and when it finishes, it's going to have a huge payoff.
Yeah.
There's going to be tons of stuff going on. There's lots of stuff that's going to happen. Now, some of the things that are going to happen, I still believe that there's going to be an increase in bounty for the Straw Hats that are currently still on the island. Which, it disappoints me because, once again, that means my boy Sanji isn't going to get a higher bounty. Which sucks, because he should. But then again, he might still, who knows. As also, what I think is going to happen is, what I don't think is going to happen is I don't think Fujitora is going to do anything once Doflamingo's defeated. Because it wouldn't make any sense. It's still too early for the Straw Hats to go up against a admiral.
Yeah.
especially with the scale, like, cause the fact that is that Dressrosa's scale is just so high. It wouldn't make any sense for them to be like, all right, let's take down the big bad Doflamingo and then immediately take on an admiral. No, when the Straw Hats take on an admiral, it's going to be an arc in and of itself. I feel, or that's what I feel. So, besides, they got bigger fish to fry coming up next, and that's the Yonko.
Right.
So, also that's the other thing that I'm expecting this year is them that the next arc be actually directly related to taking on a Yonko. Because Dressrosa was originally, started as being, a side mission that they had to do in order to help them benefit their main mission of taking on a Yonko, but then that was thrown out the window.
Mm-hmm.
The focus then became taking down Doflamingo.
Right.
Now the other thing that a lot of people or should I say, the thing that everybody hopes for at the end of an arc that I don't think is going to happen is a new Straw Hat.
Yeah, I don't think so.
In my mind, there were only two people who had the potential to become Straw Hats. And one of them was dashed so quickly you couldn't even see them leaving the door of opportunity. But the door of opportunity hit them in the butt. That's how fast they were running out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Rebecca.
Right.
She was the first potential candidate for new Straw Hat, and her chances went out the window. The more and more this arc went on, her chances became less and less and less and less and less.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only going down. Because, honestly, just like everyone said, Rebecca is this arc's Vivi. Except Vivi actually had a backbone.
Right.
And actually was offered. Like, I don't even think Rebecca's going to get offered to join.
No.
Because no. The other Straw Hat potential was Bartolomeo. However, due to reason, common sense, and due to what he said in the last chapter, he's not going to be the next Straw Hat. Now, because when he said in the last chapter, he was talking about how he doesn't feel ready to, be with the Straw Hats.
Yeah.
But on the common sense end is he's a captain of his own pirate crew, so he can't leave his pirate crew to be a part of the Straw Hats. And the only people who are going to be part of the main Straw Hat crew and not be allies are, it's going to still remain a small group. Whereas most other pirate crews, they have a few main guys and then a bunch of random fodder people on their crew.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how Luffy's crew rolls. So Bartolomeo might quote unquote start the official, alliance or allied force, Straw Hat force or something.
Uh-huh.
Because you also have all those gladiators and warriors and people from the Colosseum who now basically are worshipping Usopp.
Yep.
So the fact of the matter is most of them, for those of them in that group that are pirates, they're going to be join Bartolomeo is going to start up the because Whitebeard had a bunch of allies. Well, I feel like this year we might see the beginning of the Straw Hat Pirates, pirate alliance or allied pirates for the Straw Hats.
Yeah.
I think we might actually see the beginnings of that.
Probably.
And so, but yeah, so there's not going to be any new Straw Hats. Most likely that we are going to get a bounty increase because there's no way Luffy's going to take down Doflamingo and the world just pass it off as nothing. No, because Doflamingo is probably the second strongest of the warlords behind Mihawk. So, and legitimately after that, there's no other real. Oh, well, of course, the other thing there's also the wild card, and that is the one random warlord that they decided not to tell us about.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people are trying to speculate, but in all honesty, a lot of people were trying to say, oh, he's not that important. That's why they didn't mention him. I'm like, no, if he wasn't that important, they would have told us who he is.
Exactly.
Because why keep it from us? Well, why, you ask? Because he's gonna be that warlord is gonna be relevant later on in the story,
Mm-hmm.
and could, I mean, not, I highly doubt it, but could actually be a threat in the new world. Which I kind of highly doubt it, because who else, like, because it's gonna be. I mean, the only reason why I would think that this person is definitely gonna be a threat is because it's a new character. There's
Right.
no candidates that we know of. So if it's whoever it is, it's going to be somebody that's from the new world.
Yeah, probably.
Another big reveal that could be coming this year is the third admiral. I believe his name was Greenbull.
Yep.
It's Greenbull. We're gonna see. There's a good. We could see Greenbull. Probably for quickly. Who knows? I would like to see it, but he's probably also gonna get his own arc or be involved in one of the arcs, just like Fujitora was involved in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much sums up everything, I think.
Pretty much.
So I think it's time to go to epicness, Toriko.
Toriko?
Honestly, all of Toriko's best moments of 2014 happened since the last time we reviewed.
Most of them, at least.
Most of them. Like, oh my god, Area 7. This Area 7 arc has just been insane. Like, so OP. It's not even funny.
But before we get into that, let's stop and gloat about how we were right about the balls.
Several things. Not just that, but the balls. I was joking about that. And we were right. God, I just can't believe how right I just. But I believe there was at least one other thing we were right about that we mentioned. Was it I'm trying to think. Oh, we were correct in our stating that Tengu Brunchi was going to Midora.
Yeah.
Everyone. Well, of course, that was one of the things that pretty much any Toriko manga reader was calling.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still amazing. Yes, everyone, with last week's chapter, everyone really wanted to get to the fight with Bambina, but honestly, last week's chapter was good because it showed us what was going on with everyone else.
Right.
I also like the fact that you have all these people, prominent characters from the series following in the footsteps of Toriko and the gang.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to catch up, when they're going to catch up. I mean, but as it was previously stated, as they traverse the gourmet world, they're going to leave behind I think it was a gourmet road that they can follow, thus making their travels easier. But when you take into account, say, for instance, Area 7, which is so fucking huge, it's going to take them some time.
Mm-hmm.
But they're already at the edge, getting ready to move from Area 8 to Area 7.
Yeah, why is Zange there? I don't understand why.
He's comic relief. He has to be. I know, he's the comic relief character. And for some reason, and because of that, he has to come along.
I don't understand why Mitsutoshi is holding on to this character. He's not funny.
But
I don't think he's funny at all.
But that's not the thing. It's comic relief, not because he's funny, but because it's just so ridiculous how he's relevant. Like, honestly, I think he's trying to get. I think the joke about him is that he's still relevant. He's so weak, he shouldn't be relevant, but he is.
I know. I just don't like him at all.
Yeah, but as for what's going to happen in 2015 for Toriko, after seeing our prediction of Midora correct, we might see an air-enhanced Stajun show up.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's not just Midora eating air. It's going to be Stajun too, and the rest of the remaining gourmet corps. Like, they're just gonna friggin'. There's a good possibility. I mean, obviously we're gonna get the end of Area 7 arc this year, and be moving into Area 6. But the fact is that the thing that honestly I'm looking forward to most this year, and you're looking to most forward to, is not only not just the air enhance, but the fact that we're gonna get this. There's a good chance we'll see Star June post time skip for the first time.
Yes, I can't wait. Star June.
Of course, for some of you who might be just joining our podcast, you might not remember, but back when we were reviewing the chapter where Komatsu's heart got squished, Strider here was hoping that he would die so that way he would get replaced. Toriko would get new partner, would become Star June. Which, honestly, I still can see, like, I also in an earlier podcast mentioned how I feel that the Gourmet Corps and the Four Heavenly Kings are going to work together. So I could see them, like, Star June just joining the group. Maybe not at first, but I still feel like, you're going to see a Toriko, Star June tag teaming against someone or something.
He should just form a combo with Coco.
Who knows? Well, because the thing is, as I discussed with you in previous discussions, is that Komatsu, he's technically he's Toriko's partner, but more or less he's actually become more so after the time skip. Though he's become the partner of the Four Heavenly Kings.
For the most part, yeah.
Because unlike prior to the time skip, the rest of the series is gonna be the four kings are gonna be traveling together. Mm-hmm. Like they might in Area 8, they decided to take 4 different paths to the same place, but that was for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But whereas in the first part, it was focusing on Komatsu and Toriko, and every so often they would team up to get a certain with one of the other Four Heavenly Kings to get a certain ingredient. Mm-hmm. However, post time skip till the end, it's going to be the Four Heavenly Kings traveling together as a group. So, in essence, Komatsu pretty much became the cook or partner of the entire Four Heavenly group, known as the Four Heavenly Kings.
Right.
Which defeats the whole purpose of the contest between Toriko and Zebra. Because for those of you who don't remember, Zebra's only making a full course so he can have a better one than Toriko and somehow steals Komatsu away from him.
Yeah, that only matters after the fact of God and everything after that.
Which at that point, it's going to be friggin' destroying planets like it's nothing. Our-sized planets. Our Earth-sized planets. I don't want to be too ambitious and say they can friggin' destroy Toriko Earth-sized planets easily. Because if that was possible, it would have been threatened by now. I mean, friggin', as I stated, like, we had Jiro, who stopped the entire world for an instant. Mm-hmm. And he had, I already stated how I believe him, Midora, and Ichiru probably didn't eat Akashia's full course. So, imagine, especially now that Midora is asking for the Akashia's full course ingredients to be delivered to him, most likely, not. And the fact that they didn't even use their full powers yet weren't even displayed to us. It's just going to be... Just seeing these characters at the end is just going to be... Your brain is just going to explode. Your brain is just going to explode. Every panel is going to make your brain explode. Like, that's how awesome the Toriko manga is going to get. As it just gets more and more OP. Because it's not just the sheer power, it's the abilities of the gourmet cells.
Yeah.
I mean, with air, they now can survive days without breathing. Mm-hmm. And just by breathing, they become accelerated healing. It's like Mondo, like accelerated healing. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, it's not on the level of friggin' Wolverine from the X-Men, but it's still pretty OP.
Oh, yeah.
Because that healing power is only going to get better as they get into bigger and bigger fights and eat more of Akashia's full course. Mm-hmm. God, who the hell? And with his Embu ability, Holy moly. And we don't even know what Pear is going to give them, because Pear is going to turn even more of their body into their demon, allow them to summon more of their demon, gourmet demon, in physical form. But also, it'll have to do something for them.
Right.
Like, give them, better muscles so they can be faster or stronger or something. It's going to give them some OP ability that's just going to fall under the category of gourmet cells just adapting. Because, well, also, think about it, as we also already knew, and I already said, is that I feel like each ingredient is going to give you an advantage that's going to help you in the next area. Because if you remember, as most people have probably already forgotten, 100G Mountain doesn't have any oxygen. So in the time they spent traversing to the top, they weren't breathing because they didn't need to because of air.
Right.
If they had eaten air, it wouldn't have mattered if they learned Embu. They wouldn't have been able to get to the top. They would have had to have been able to get in the top and beat Bambina in like less than a couple of minutes, because God knows how long they were able to hold their breath before.
Right.
And this is what makes it even more OP. The fact that they can act normal. Like, it doesn't even look like they're holding their breath in. They just... Because on top of the fact, normal breathing, they can freaking breathe through their cells now. The pores of their body can now breathe for them. Because of air. And even, they don't need oxygen for days. For days! Which means, at one of these areas, since we don't know what all the areas are like, and what all the 8 kings are, I'm definitely predicting at least one area that's going to be mostly underwater, and the battle against the 8 have one, and it's going to be an some type of underwater beast at some point.
Maybe.
But anyway, so that's. I mean, do you have anything to add to Toriko?
Let's see. We covered the things prior to Bambina showing up. I mean, the only thing it was just nuts how quickly
how quickly they got defeated.
Yeah, it was like
and it wasn't even
blinked
a fight.
And it was done.
And it wasn't even a fight. It was the 8 King was just playing games with them.
Of hide and seek.
No, it wasn't hide and seek. At first, he was playing hide and seek with them, and he was a seeker. Then he played some weird Japanese game with I think it was Coco, where you're supposed to kick the other guy in the back of the knee and blew his leg off. And and then Zebra was something like freaking waved the finger in front of his face and the air spun his head around so many times it popped off. And I think Toriko was playing Jockin with him and lost.
Oh yeah.
And lost an entire arm. And just by the sheer fact that Sonny was blinking, he thought Sonny was going to count.
Right.
Go seek for Bambina.
The hide and seek, yeah.
Which worked in their favor because Bambina thought that for half a second, or for like a millisecond, that they weren't looking for him, and he got pissed off, which created enough killing intent for them to grasp the basics of Embu so they can master it.
Good going, Sonny.
And in Toriko fashion, they mastered it 1,000 times faster than should be humanly possible. Because A, they're the main characters / 4 Heavenly Kings, and B, food luck.
Oh yeah.
See, that's the thing. That's the one. I think honestly, that is out of everything Mitsutoshi's done, food luck is his greatest creation. And you want to know why I feel that?
Why?
Because he created an in-canon thing that allows him to explain away any and all bullshit. Literally, any and all bullshit can be explained away by saying, "Oh, it's their food luck," and no questions. Do you realize how hilarious that is? Imagine if I forgot the name. The guy who created Naruto made something like that. Like, oh, ninja luck.
Mm-hmm.
Then they could explain everything, all the plot holes away with just ninja, if they would have created something like that.
Right.
Like, if they, it's just hilarious. But, yeah, so.
I guess that's it then.
I know. We still got plenty more to talk about.
Well, I guess we just got Bleach for manga, right?
Oh, Fairy Tail.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting about that shit. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Well, unfortunately, I believe it was since the last time we reviewed it was the whole stupid bullshit Urza fight. I think. Yeah. I think we might have reviewed it, but I don't remember.
Oh, no. It was just before Gray beat Mark Gear with Natsu. I think that's when we stopped.
Yeah. Was it?
I think it was around that time when they were just about to tag team against Mark Gear.
Well, no, wasn't it? Was it? No, wasn't it? When Mark Gear just used his ultimate attack on him, and the cliffhanger was intended to make people believe that they were dead, but we all knew they weren't.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because I remember, I believe I remember us talking about that on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, which makes surprisingly actually not much happen, because after that they turned the fight around and kicked his ass, and then they after Mark Gears was defeated, you had Acnologia rip the arm off of Igneal, but not before. Or no. Igneal ripped Acnologia's one arm off, and then got just like and right before Face goes off, the dragons appear to destroy them, and and you also had the fact that the dragons, we revealed pretty much the majority of everything that we wanted to know about the dragons, but there's still a lot that we want to know.
Right.
That I feel like he's saving for future arcs. And the fact that, like, even though after the fact we learned that Igneal was going to die regardless, just the fact that Acnologia just fucked Igneal up in front of Natsu, I thought Natsu was going to flip shit.
Same here.
And he did, but he didn't flip shit and go after Acnologia. Acnologia killed Igneal and then ran away.
Yeah, I thought he was going to, like, power up and kill Acnologia. That's literally what I thought was going to happen.
Or at least fight against him. But no, that didn't happen. And then you had friggin' Zerf show up and take the Book of End.
Oh, yeah.
That was surprising.
It was nuts.
And then, honestly, the most surprising, like, honestly, I think I spent 20, 30 minutes talking with you earlier this week about the first Fairy Tail chapter of the year.
Something like that.
Oh my god. It was a double chapter that that just threw everyone through for a loop. Like, almost every page just blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
With, Fairy Tail is being disbanded. There's it's seemingly setting up for a 1-year time skip. So yeah, there's just, of course, the mixed review. The one this last chapter ended with a big reveal that wasn't necessarily a big reveal because every person reading Fairy Tail predicted it, but still got mixed reviews from everyone. And that was the reveal that Natsu is N.
Right.
And more specifically, when he's in his Ephirius form, because it says E represented Ephirius, which is all ether form. So I guess in a way when he uses his Dragon Force, he's kind of like closing in on that power.
Mm-hmm.
But just the whole fact that now, after we learned everything we learned about the dragons and everything we learned about the fact that Natsu is End, it just raises up 1,000 more questions about what the hell's going on with what happened with Zeref and the dragons and Acnologia and all them. Like, what happened? But honestly, I think Acnologia and Zeref are going to be part of the final arc. So
Sure.
all those questions that we just brought up to that we just thought of are now going to be saved for the finale. Because I still feel like there's a lot that has to be covered. Now, with it's the title of the next chapter, it makes it seem like we may see a chapter or two. If we are going into a time skip, maybe a chapter. We might see like the next couple of chapters might be, seeing a little bit about what their people like some of the stuff that's going to happen to showcase. Okay, what are people going to do going into this time skip? But I've also seen people actually say that there's a possibility that instead of like a straight up time skip, we might actually like see the year, but only like see what Natsu does for that year, and then he'll come back to the guild and then see everything what happened to everyone else over the year, like sort of like a time skip. But at the same time, I don't want that because I feel like Natsu by himself can't carry the series for an entire year in a year in the manga time, not just which could translate to more than a year in manga chapter releases, which is disappoint. So I just want a couple of chapters to set up what people are gonna do for the time skip, duration of the time skip, and then have them come back and then go through the time skip. Another thing I really liked about this last chapter was the fact that we got we got scenes to help push the three of the fairy tale shippings. Gaju X Levy, Gray and Juvia, and Lucy and Natsu. All got pushes this week. Everybody was just had some type of character development as part of this aftermath. I feel like even Loxus, who even after rejoining the guild after the time skip, I still feel like had a tad bit of arrogance to him. That's all gone now.
Right.
That's just gone. He just can't believe that he got beat so badly. It blew his mind that he got beat that badly. And now he feels now in order to protect his friends, he needs to get stronger. Everybody feels like they have to get stronger. And since this feels like it's going to be a much more proper time skip, I want to see some major power-ups. Now, it's hard for certain characters, mainly Urza, it's going to be hard to really become even stronger because she already has that BS power where she can just overcome anything because she's Urza. What I would hope is what everyone was hoping, and that is that we finally get some sort of she discovers that there is a reason why she can overcome no matter what. Maybe there's some secret ability that she has or secret magic spell or I don't know, something that makes her able to do this. Because nobody wants to continue on this series and have Urza just win a bunch of impossible fights just because she's Urza.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of things that didn't make sense, like freaking Wendy getting her long hair back after she just cut it to show her maturity. And then you had friggin' Dornbolt being revealed as, oh, you're actually a Fairy Tail member, but you decided to infiltrate the council, and to help that along, you erased your own memories, and then while you were a member of the council, you decided to adjust our memories to pretend that you were a member of Fairy Tail, but when you weren't, but you actually were.
Mindfuck.
But honestly, one of the other big mindfucks of Fairy Tail was this month's chapter of Fairy Tail Zero.
Oh yeah.
Every single members, including the famous, I mind you, the famous Mavis. Every single one founding member, including Mavis, was taught magic by Zeref.
Yep.
That was that's just mindfuck for days.
Oh yeah.
Like, but anyway, so it makes me wish that that wouldn't be just monthly, because I want to know what happens sooner.
Oh, I know.
It just, but anyway, so yeah, Fairy Tail has been kicking it up a notch, and I hope it keeps getting bigger and better.
Mhm.
Of course, so all right, that's, I think, all I have to say for Fairy Tail.
Yeah, honestly, it's been pretty decent, which is good for Fairy Tail, I guess. That's good for their standards, I would suppose.
Yeah. All right, so I think you should take the lead for the next one.
Yeah. So, so in terms of Bleach, where luckily, I left off at a pretty decent spot because the only thing we have to cover is the fight and the aftermath. So basically, Ichibe and Yuha are fighting, and Yuha, they show incredibly OP powers. For instance, Ichibe can cut the name of what you have, and that in turn cuts your power, which was unbelievable. And he had like this palm, like a Buddha palm, which is also unbelievable. That he Yuhabak had to force fingers into his own throat in order to start breathing properly, in order to speak, because the words were the ones that had power. But ultimately, it was, "I am Yuhabak, therefore I win." That was literally the ending of that fight. Was, "I am Yuhabak, therefore I win."
Yeah, that was like, what? Like, I can't, like, out of everything, you know, I stated several times before, animes have been ended for multiple reasons, whether they weren't doing as good, and also because maybe they were catching up to the manga and they didn't feel like doing a lot of filler. But the fact of the matter is that it's been confirmed several times that after the Bleach manga ends, that they will bring back the anime, or
Yep.
at least soon. Whether it be this year, a lot of people are saying it's going to come back this year because they feel like the manga's going to finish this year, which it feels like it because it's just been nonstop, and we also got to the Soul King in the last chapter. So
Oh yeah.
I mean, there just doesn't seem to be anything else left. I mean, so I don't think what is left can needs more than this year.
Nah, I think it'll end this year or very early next year.
Uh
One of the
huh.
two.
You know, some of the major things that I'm expecting, or at least the one thing I'm interested in is the most is Uryu. What the hell is up with him? Is he actually on their side, or isn't he? Because or at least I got the impression that he feels like he could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, almost to the point where I feel like he is to he in this, as it applies to this arc, he is to Bleach like Snape was to Harry Potter. Like, he might do some like friggin' quadruple like agent shit, where he's somehow he's gonna, like, towards the end of the arc, he he's gonna give the villains, Wombach's gonna give him some like major power up to try and take down Ichigo, and then he's gonna turn around and use that against him. But honestly, in terms of everything, like, now, since the last time Bleach was we did the podcast, I've caught up to Bleach. But honestly, some of them, I think, mm, the two moments I have to say were most surprising to me was, or should I say, or there were a lot of moments for me that I was like, some of it I was spoiled on, but still didn't lose its impact when I read it. Like, I already heard that Rukia did Bankai, and
Mm.
still, even though when I read it for the first time, it still was like awesome.
Uh-huh.
Also, oh my god, I can't believe it. Kenpachi killing another captain. Like I heard that that other captain died, and I thought it was an enemy. I thought originally I came into it thinking that she was killed by an enemy and that Kenpachi was just there and he was mourning over her death because he thought. I guess I got the impression that he was, oh, he failed to protect her or something. But no, they outright had a fight to the death and he killed her. Like I was just it just blew me away.
Or so
And
we're assuming.
finally,
But yeah.
what? She's assumingly dead, yeah. However, the thing that I was probably looking forward to the most was finally seeing Kenpachi's vice captain finally fight for once. Like literally, she is the tiniest thing ever. Yet Kenpachi is considered one of the most have the most raw power out of any of the captains, and you have this little tiny, cute Lolita girl as his vice captain, and I'm like, what the hell can she do in a fight that makes Kenpachi feel that she deserves to be captain, not just because they've been together for a really long time, but the fact of the matter is that, and I was not disappointed, which is because it's just like every time you saw them two interacting in the anime, it was like with this big tough guy, and then you had this like little cute Lolita girl go on his, rest on his shoulders. I'm like, that's so hilarious.
Yeah.
And I knew that she was gonna be beast when she would fight because, and she was, literally. I think what was it? Wasn't her she uses her Zanpakuto to summon beasts? I think, or I think it was.
Something like that. It was it was a trippy Zanpakuto, I can tell you that much.
But it was still amazing. And it was like and just like Zimpaki or Kimpachi, she got pretty badly damaged, but she just shrugged it off like it was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Kimpachi. I've never seen a more badass yet at the same time more funny and yet cute like duo. Like they are so cute together, but they're also so badass and so funny. Like I've never seen this. Like that is a once in a lifetime, chemistry. Like you'll never see a chemistry between two characters that are like this ever again. I don't think it's possible to recreate this type of chemistry between Kenpachi and his vice captain, which I can't remember her name.
It's fuck. I know her last name is Kusajishi. What the fuck is her first
So
name?
that's one of the things I had trouble with Bleach was that the majority of the time I couldn't remember anybody's names because they were long-winded Japanese names.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something Kusajishi. I can't remember her first name for some reason. It's I don't know. Yachiro. That's what it was.
Uh-huh. But but
But yeah, I mean that's basically it for Bleach, except for the fact that Yuha Bach just stabbed the Soul King, and we'll see what happens with that.
so who
I have
knows?
no comment on it except what the fuck, and I want to see what happens next because I have no idea what is happening.
And we'll be finding out tomorrow morning. Or
Hopefully.
yeah. All right. So that should do it for the manga section.
Okay, so let's get into this Shokugeki no Soma recap. And first thing I want to say is that I believe since my last review, which was 92, we have a anime teaser for Shokugeki no Soma, and I am very stoked. Animation looks fantastic, and I will certainly be a watcher. So you can expect to see that on the anime section as soon as it comes. Um, yeah, I'm excited. I'm a fan of this manga, and I want to see it succeed more than it has done. Although it did pretty well in the polls, actually, in the sales of 2014. So anyway, where we last left off was the end of the match between Kurokiba and Hayama, in which it appeared as though they had drawn, and it was true that it was a draw, and so the final match was set up to be the three, Hayama, Kurokiba, and Souma, of course, our main character. And I really liked how this panned out because even though I kind of was rooting for Kurokiba, it was kind of an unexpected twist, and it was pulled off really well. And now we've really seen the elevated threat of Hayama, especially, and even more so in the new battle that's still going on that should probably end around the new chapter that's coming out soon, or the next one after that. Because in this new one we see uh, the battle likened up to weapons, where as Kurokiba had a great sword in the first battle, Hayama had a bejeweled scimitar, and now he has an estoc or a rapier or of some sort, and he apparently um, did better than Kurokiba in this new match, which I'm not a big fan of. I was kind of hoping for Kurokiba again to edge him out, but it does seem that Soma is going to win because in the latest chapter, it was the whole thing where he has the katana, which by the way is inferior in my opinion to a great sword or a rapier. Well, not a rapier because it's a different weapon, but I would say an estoc would be, or a European longsword would be better than a katana. But anyway, this is in Japan. They probably overrate the shit out of their own blades, their own katana. But I'm getting off track. But uh, anyway, so like Soma has this secret sauce of some sort, and we'll see what's up in the next chapter. That's coming up. Should be coming up within the next day as of the recording, which is the 15th, I believe. Yes, the 15th is what I'm recording this. Uh, and let's see. I mean, we can get to the Pacific Salary itself, where Kurokiba and Hayama were able to pick out the freshest by touch and smell, and just by looks due to experience. But since we knew Soma couldn't do that, what he did was he ended up pickling um, or curing one of them, or I think it was pickled and or cure. I can't remember, but he had done something with it where, in order to match the flavor, he had prepared it ahead of time in order to counteract freshness, which was a good idea because he obviously could not win in terms of picking a fresh fish compared to Kurokiba's obviously natural ability since he's been working with fish so long, and Hayama's nose, um, coupled with his knowledge of fish. And so ultimately, he had to come up with new strategies, and your everyday inspiration from people like the Polar Star person, the landlord, was able to give him the inspiration he needed in order to find a good way to counteract this inability to win in terms of freshness. And like that's a key thing in this match was the salary itself, because when you have the main thing oftentimes in shows like Chopped or other food shows, which I've watched pretty extensively. I'm a pretty decent fan of cooking shows. I like Hell's Kitchen a lot. I liked Kitchen Nightmares. I like Chopped and Triple D. But a lot of times in those professional things like Top Chef and Chopped and Hell's Kitchen, if there's something like a key ingredient that they have to use, they're usually looking for it to stand out rather than to not stand out. And so the key thing here was the fish had to be the centerpiece of the dish, basically, because that was the ingredient they all had to use was the Pacific celery, and uh, so that was a very important thing, and I think they've all done that pretty well. Though honestly, it seems that like Hayama's dish did that the least, and yet he still apparently did better than Kurokiba. But I'm not complaining because I think Soma's gonna win, and I'm happy with it, to be honest. Soma deserves it. He's a great main character, even though he does contain a couple elements of being a bit of a Gary Stew or Marty Stew or Mary Stew, however you say it. He really he pulls it off pretty well. He's not a total Sue because one of the things he does lose a lot, and he often relies on a lot of people in order to get things done. He relies on inspiration. However, he does contain some bit of predictability as a main character because he does win a lot, and so it's very hard to think he's going to lose. I did think that it was a possibility that he would lose to Alice though, but he didn't. But anyway, um, so I guess that's about wraps it up because prior to that, I mean, it was just the two matches, and the Pacific Salary was the main focus of the intermission. Was how can I do this? How can I do that? And that's what happened. And I guess one thing I want to mention is they were all pretty good chapters, and the expressions have been pretty phenomenal. Like Hayama and his poses have been great, but he had this one panel in I believe 93 where he's got like this darkness coming over him, and he gets pissed off at things that like Kurokiba insulted him about, and that was an indication that he was going to win against Kurokiba, which I thought was a little obvious, but it scared this chick that looked like she was very into Hayama. Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, so all these were good chapters. I'm definitely excited to see what's coming up for Shokugeki no Soma. I hope this isn't the end because I want more. I want to see what happens as Soma goes along in his journey. So yeah, I guess we'll talk about the new chapter pretty soon then. So Shokugeki no Soma is back, and ultimately, Soma's secret sauce happens to be this type of porridge stock, and so ultimately his dish was a porridge. And the second the director took that a bite, it was almost like his clothes just like ripped off him like immediately. So the whole disrobing thing was like immediate. So we know that Soma's dish has a lot of impact. Whether or not he wins is undecided for now, though some of his panels were very, very good. It's a very good indication that he's probably going to win. There were some great panels with Soma as usual. It's always him in that smile or something else where he's holding out his hand, and of course the very last page had a great pose for Soma where he was taking off his bandana, though he usually says it wasn't much. Uh, he hasn't said that because he hasn't won yet. Uh, he usually says that when he takes off his headband or bandana, but I guess this is different because this is the finals. Maybe he just doesn't know. He takes it off and says, um, "Happy to serve" or something like that. Happy to serve another cut. I can't remember the exact words, but it was cool, and I thought the idea was pretty interesting. And even Alice and Erina thought so as well. So that was impressive for that standard. Um, Kurokiba and Hayama looked also quite worried, and they should be because Soma is probably going to win. Though it would be interesting if they label Hayama or Kurokiba as the winner. But I mean, it was a simple chapter, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Obviously, we'll see the winner next week. So yeah, we'll see you then.